All right, MIS 102 students. Hey, we're going to go over our week 5 weekly exercise. I understand some functions in Excel might be new, especially the pivot table function. Even if you use Excel a lot, you might not be familiar with these functions. So I'm going to go over everything in this weekly exercise to make sure you fully understand it. So for question 1, we want to sort our worksheet in a 3-tier sort from country, state, to name. So before we do anything with any of these questions in the homework, we're going to make a copy of the worksheet we're working in. The easiest way to do that is to right-click, hit Move or Copy, select the sheet we want, Sales January 2009, and create a copy. I really want to stress anytime you're working with data, save frequently and make copies. You don't want to lose a lot of data for a silly mistake. So we're going to name this one question 1. So we want to sort this. We sort under the data tab using the sort function here, but we need to tell it what information to look at. We could click and drag, but we have over 900 rows in this sheet. So the easiest thing to do is to select cell A1, hold down Shift and Control, hit down on your arrow key, and then hit right. So when we hit down, it selected everything in that column, and we hit right, it moved the whole way over to row I. Now we can go up to sort. So we want 3 tiers. So this is our first tier right here. So our first tier is country. Then we're going to add a second one, and we're going to add this to state. And then finally, we're going to add name. Hit OK. Excel will resort this. If we look at Australia here, we see it takes it by state, New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, Tasmania, Victoria, and then finally by the names of the individuals that completed the order. Useful. We made a large group of information with really no order other than the transaction date, and we broke it down to areas. So right away, we made this data more useful. So we're going to look at question 2. Same thing. We're going to create a copy. I like to drag them all over to the right. I like to have my worksheet tabs in order anytime I'm working in Excel. And question 2. So question 2, we're going to make a table. So a table is similar to a sort, but it is live sorting. So again, we need to know what information we need. So we're going to tell Excel, okay, same thing, select cell A1, Shift Control, down arrow, right arrow. Now we selected all the data in here. We're going to go to Insert, and we're going to go to Table. Excel's going to ask you, where is this data? So we selected the cells already, so it auto-populated A1 through A999. If we didn't select it, we could type this in. We want to make sure that my table has headers is selected. What this is doing, this is telling Excel that your very first row is your headers. This is what we're going to sort everything by. So we're going to hit OK. Now I want to draw your attention, we have a new tab up here called Design. This is only active when you're selected inside your table. If we select out, the tab goes away. So we'll go back in. Another point for question 2 is I want you to check your style, whatever you deem appropriate. So what does that mean? We have a nice blue and white, almost ledger style here. This is my favorite, but we could do different colors. Maybe your company has a red logo or a green logo. You want to make it match. A side note, don't get too crazy with charts in Excel. You want this data to be useful, but you don't want the formatting, the color scheme, the font to distract people from the hard numbers and information in it. Make it professional, make it clean, make it easy to use. So like we said, the table is an easier way to sort, but it's a way to sort live. Because what we could do, we have these little drop-down arrows here. So let's look at payment type. If we hit this drop-down arrow, here are all the options that people paid. American Express, Diners, MasterCard, Visa. Well, what if I only wanted to see the transactions under MasterCard? I select it, and this sorted it, narrowed it down even more. Well, great, MasterCard. I want to see all the ones that was done in Alberta. There we go. So these are all the transactions that were done in Alberta using a MasterCard. Well, the homework wants us to look at all the transactions done only in Quebec. So we'll go to state, we'll select all. We'll use our search function here and we'll look for Quebec. Unselect Queensland. There we go. So this is everything that was done in Quebec, regardless of the payment type, if it was online, in-store, or mail. So that satisfies question 2. Question 3, we start using a pivot table. Now, pivot tables are interesting. They can be a little intimidating, but we're going to walk through this. So it's a new question. We're going to make a new copy. Sales 2009, create a copy. Drag this over. So we're just going to name this one question 3, but the pivot table itself we're going to name differently. Just like when we do a table, we need to tell Excel where to look. So we're going to select all the information. We're going to go to Insert and select Pivot Table. It's going to give us a similar information box like we had before. We are correct on the data range we want. We'll hit OK. This will bring us over to our pivot table page. You see it made a new sheet down here. So we're going to name this one question 3, Pivot Table. When you're in the first pivot table sheet, if you click off of your pivot table area, your fields block goes away. So if you don't have the block over here, click over on your area and it'll come back. So we'll read this. Make a pivot table of question 3, rename the pivot table like we did. Put channel on rows, payment type on columns, and price in the data value. So what does that mean? So let's go over here. We'll take channel, left click it, drag it down to rows. So we're already formatting this pivot table. Payment type goes on columns, same thing, click and drag. And finally, price in the data values. So you see this is sum of price, but we want to look at average. Click the drop down here, value field settings, and we'll go to average. So this is going to average it out. But if we look at the numbers here, this isn't very clear. We are working with money. So we're going to do number format, click on currency. Now, this is much easier to understand. We do dollar signs on here, and this breaks down transactions from in-store, mail, or online by how they paid. So that's going to satisfy everything for question 3. So we're going to go on to question 4, and again, we're going to make a copy. And we'll rename. Question 4. So this is where we do our OLAPs. This is going to be very similar to an OLAP cube like we talked about in the book. So the same thing, we're going to start with a pivot table. We're going to select all of our data, insert, pivot table. Yes, that is my range. Made a new sheet, and we will name this question 4 OLAP. So question 4 states, create an OLAP cube with the following dimensions: product, channel, and country. So what we're going to do for this, we're going to take product, channel, and country, and we're going to put them in rows. So product, channel, and country are in rows. So now we need to take our price over here, and it's going to go to values. This is our measure. We're going to make this in logical sense for currency. Now, so there's a lot of information on this. Now you see Excel automatically can expand the data if we want. So let's just minimize everything here. So right off the bat, this is incredibly useful. So we see breakdown by product: 3D printer, Google Glasses, WearTech watch, and the price for it. So we can even extract these down: in-store, mail, online, by country. Right here, the way this is satisfied question 4, but I really want you to mess around with this and, change your values, change different things in this pivot table to try to make this data more useful for you. Think if you were going to present this to your VPs, to finance, to marketing, how can we make this information better and more useful for everyone? We have all of our countries, we have the sum of prices, we can bring back question 3 pivot table as far as payment methods. The main goal I want you to get out of week 5 exercise is that there are a lot of powerful functions in Excel. There's a lot of ways that you can easily manipulate a large sum of data, break it down, categorize it, group it, and summarize it in ways you can really tell the story that you need to. Anytime we present data, we want to make sure that we hit all of our wicket points. Hey, if we are doing a presentation on these sales, what areas of the world are getting the most revenue? What products are selling better in certain areas? Maybe we need to streamline our product line in France. We're not selling certain items in France that we're selling in South Africa. This is how we streamline our product. This is how we become more profitable. So as is, this answers everything for our week 5 homework. I hope this made sense for you. Please don't be intimidated by some of these functions in Excel. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to me and let me know. Thank you.